Imagine, for a second, that you've just landed an interview for your absolute dream job. You know, the one.
Oh, yeah. The one that changes everything.
Exactly. Like, landing this position means a better house, a great school for your kids, and just a massive leap forward in your career. It's the opportunity of a lifetime.
Right.
So the big day arrives. Would you show up to that interview wearing, I don't know, a pair of scruffy, unwashed old jeans, having done zero preparation?
Of course not. I mean, you'd polish your shoes.
Right. You'd wear your best suit and you'd rehearse your pitch until it's completely flawless. You would do, like, everything in your power to sell yourself to the people making the decision.
Because the stakes are incredibly high.
Yeah.
And human psychology dictates that presentation structure, and just how easy you make it for someone to say yes matter just as much as your actual qualifications on paper.
Welcome to today's deep dive. Here is the wild part about that job interview scenario for you. In the high-stakes world of commercial construction, people submit multi-million-dollar claims every single day that look exactly like that scruffy jeans candidate.
It's true. It really is.
We're talking about haphazard, dog-eared collections of documents just shoved into an envelope or a brief email that leave the reviewer completely confused and annoyed.
Yeah, and it happens way more often than you'd think.
So our mission today, for you listening, is to shortcut the massive confusion surrounding construction disputes. We're unpacking the essential components for building a successful claim, specifically focusing on the ultimate formula for success, which is the CEE framework. That's CEES.
Yeah, and to set the stage here, at its core, a construction claim is really simply an assertion of a right.
Okay.
Usually, a contractor is asserting a right to extra time to finish a project or extra money, or both. But because a claim is fundamentally a sales pitch to a reviewer, the structure of the argument is paramount.
So let's look at the reality of the person sitting on the other side of the desk. When a reviewer receives a bad, disorganized claim, what is actually going through their head?
Well, you have to picture the reviewer. This is often an auditor or a project manager or an engineer. They are busy.
Right. They have their own jobs.
Exactly. It's Friday afternoon, they have their own deadlines, and they're handed this messy stack of unorganized files. They basically have three options.
Okay, let's unpack this. It's like dealing with a bad salesperson.
It really is. So option one is rejected outright, which usually leads to a formal dispute or, arbitration down the line. Option two is to ask the claimant for more information, which wastes a tremendous amount of time.
And nobody wants that.
Right. Or option three, literally do the claimant's work for them, like sifting through mountains of data trying to piece together a logical argument on behalf of the person asking for the money.
Human nature dictates that option three is never going to happen.
Never.
If you make someone's life difficult, they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But let me challenge this right out of the gate.
Sure.
I hear you on the presentation, but if the client literally brought a backhoe and dug a huge trench that blocked my construction site, why do I have to put a bow on it? Like, they know they did it. Why does presentation matter when the fault is that glaringly obvious?
Because the person reviewing the claim is rarely the guy driving the backhoe.
Oh, that's a good point.
Right. It's an administrator or a third-party consultant who wasn't even on the site that day. And this brings up a crucial legal standard in construction contracts, which is the balance of probabilities.
Meaning what, exactly?
Well, in a criminal court, you have to prove something beyond a reasonable doubt. But in contract claims, the burden is on the claimant to prove that their version of events is more than 50% likely to be true.
So the truth doesn't just exist in a vacuum.
Exactly. It has to be demonstrated.
Yeah.
You have to lead that third-party reviewer by the hand to show that the events actually occurred, that they cause specific damage, and that the contract entitles you to compensation.
Wow, that sounds like a massive burden of proof.
It is.
Which is why we need a rigid structure to do the heavy lifting for us. So let's get into the CEES framework: cause, effect, entitlement, and substantiation. Let's start with the inciting incident and the fallout. The C and the E.
Okay, so the cause is simply the factual event that gave rise to the claim. It should be an objective statement of fact.
It's just the raw facts.
Right. The source material provides a highly specific, real-world example to illustrate this. So imagine a large housing development project. According to the records, on February 1st, 2010, the employer's infrastructure contractor excavated a trench across a road.
Okay, trench across the road.
Yeah, and this specific road happened to be the only access point to 6 dwellings being built by the main contractor, specifically house numbers 36 through 46.
So the cause is simply, the trench was dug, And it blocked the only road to those 6 houses. That part seems straightforward enough.
It is. The cause is usually the easiest part to identify. But the next pillar, the effect, is where things get incredibly complicated and where most claims actually fail.
Because you have to connect the dots. Like, you can't just say, we were delayed. How did that specific trench impact those specific houses?
Well, according to the project data in our example, because that trench was dug, heavy vehicles couldn't get through to deliver ready-mixed concrete to the site.
No concrete, no houses.
Exactly. So for house number 36, the reinforcement for the raft foundation was totally ready to go. A raft foundation, by the way, is essentially the massive reinforced concrete slab that acts as the entire footprint of the house.
Right, so it spreads the load over a large area?
Yeah, so you absolutely cannot build anything else until it's poured. And because the concrete trucks couldn't reach the site, the pouring of that foundation was delayed from February 3rd to February 11th.
Man, that is an 8-day delay just sitting there waiting on trucks.
And it ripples outward. Because those 6 houses were the absolute last ones on the master construction schedule, this specific bottleneck delayed the entire project's critical path by 9 days, pushing the final completion date all the way to August 6th, 2010.
Let's upgrade how we visualize this. I initially thought of this like falling dominoes, but it's really more like the gears inside a mechanical watch.
Well, okay.
A construction project is a massive, complex machine. You can't just walk up to the reviewer and say, a gear stopped turning, give me $1 million.
No, definitely not.
You have to trace exactly how that one specific gear stopping caused the next gear to stutter and the next one all the way to the minute hand on the face of the watch running 9 days late. How do you mathematically prove that connection?
What's fascinating here is that it requires a mechanism industry professionals call a retrospective critical path delay analysis. You don't just write a narrative.
You need actual software for this, right?
You do. You take the baseline schedule, which is the approved master software file that maps out every single task on the project, and you mathematically overlay that 8-day pause onto the specific task of pouring the raft foundation for house 36.
Wow, okay.
You then let the scheduling software recalculate. If and only if that specific delay pushes the final completion date of the entire project back by 9 days, you have proven your effect.
But wait, what if another gear was already broken? Say the contractor was already running 3 weeks behind schedule on House 36 because they forgot to order the steel reinforcement in the first place.
Right. That is what we call a concurrent delay. If you were already delayed by your own incompetence, the fact that the road was blocked by the trench might not actually be the primary cause of the overall project delay.
The employer shouldn't pay for your mistake.
Exactly. So the software analysis isolates the events. You have to prove that the trench, and the trench alone, was the driving force behind the watch running late. The effect must be directly and exclusively linked to the cause.
Okay, so I've mathematically proven the gear stopped turning because of their trench, and I've proven it delayed the final project by 9 days. Is that enough for the reviewer to sign the check, or is there a catch?
Oh, there is a massive catch.
Yeah.
Just because you suffered an effect doesn't automatically mean the employer has to pay for it.
Uh-oh.
This is where the third pillar comes in. Entitlement.
So proving that the rules actually say you get to win.
Exactly. Entitlement is about proving that the contract, or the law governing the contract, allocates this specific risk to the other party. In our trench example, the project is using the FIDI standard contract.
And for those unfamiliar, FEDI is essentially the widely used international standard rule book for complex construction contracts.
Right. It lays out all the baseline rules of engagement.
So where in that rule book does it cover our trench?
You look at subclause 8.4 of the FIDI contract. It specifically allows an extension of time for, quote, delay, impediment, or prevention caused by the employer's other contractors on the site.
Which perfectly covers our infrastructure contractor.
Yep. Since the trench was dug by the employer's infrastructure contractor, this clause perfectly covers the scenario. The contractor has a clear contractual entitlement to an extension of time.
Reading through the sources, though, there is a terrifying trap hidden in these contracts regarding entitlement. It's called a condition precedent.
Yes. The condition precedent is the graveyard of many otherwise perfectly valid claims.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Under FIDI subclause 20.1, it states that you must give formal notice to the engineer within 28 days of becoming aware of the event.
That's right. 28 days.
So, if I understand this correctly, if you miss that 28-day window, Even if you are 100% factually right, even if they dug the trench, delayed you by 9 days, and subclause 8.4 says you are entitled to the time if you notify them on day 29, a technicality completely wipes out the truth.
It does.
You get nothing. The time is not extended, and the employer is totally discharged from all liability.
That is entirely accurate. And to understand why that draconian rule exists, we have to look at it from the employer's perspective.
It's not just to be mean, right?
No, the logic isn't just to trick the contractor out of money. The employer needs to know about the problem immediately so they can manage their own risk and try to fix it.
Ah, so they can stop the bleeding.
Exactly. If you tell them about the trench on day 2, they might be able to order the infrastructure contractor to fill it in temporarily.
Oh, right.
Or they might pay a few $1,000s to lay down a temporary steel access road, mitigating the delay to only 3 days instead of 9. If you wait months to tell them, long after the concrete was finally poured, you've robbed the employer of the opportunity to mitigate the damage.
You can't just sit back, watch the gears grind to a halt in slow motion, wait for the project to end, and then hand them a massive bill for a problem they could have solved in a week.
Right, which is why establishing your entitlement means proving not only that the rulebook allows the claim, but that you've followed every single procedural hurdle required to activate that claim.
Wow. Okay, so we have the cause, we have the effect, and we have proven our entitlement. We are almost at the finish line. But the entire framework rests on the final S, substantiation.
Substantiation is where the theoretical becomes factual. Think of it like a murder trial.
Okay, I love a good true crime analogy.
Right. A prosecuting lawyer cannot simply stand up in front of a jury and say the defendant is guilty because he was at the scene of the crime and he had a motive.
The jury isn't going to convict based on a statement.
No, they need hard evidence. Fingerprints, witness testimony, security footage. Claims are the exact same way. You cannot just state that a trench was dug and access was blocked. You have to prove it to that skeptical reviewer.
There is a golden rule mentioned in the sources from a renowned claims consultant named Roger Knowles. He says the 3 most important aspects of a successful claim are good records, and good records.
He's totally right. The burden of proof is entirely on you. If you don't have the records, you don't have a claim.
Let's look at what good records actually look like for our trench example so we can see this in action. To prove the delay, the claim shouldn't just be a nice narrative essay. It needs to be heavily footnoted with hard evidence.
Right. So when you state the trench was dug on February 1st, you footnote Exhibit 1.
And what's that?
Exhibit 1 is a copy of the formal letter sent to the engineer on February 1st warning them about the trench, which also conveniently proves you met the 28-day condition precedent notice requirement.
Nice. And when you claim the access was finally restored on February 9th?
You footnote Exhibit 2. This would be the official site meeting minutes from February 10th, where all parties, including the employer's representatives, agreed and recorded that the access was restored the day prior.
Okay, and for the actual 8-day delay of the raft foundation, that's the big one.
For that, you footnote Exhibit 3, the daily site report signed by the supervisor showing that construction progress on House 36 literally stopped.
You need daily reports.
Yep. You include marked-up site plans showing exactly where the trench was to prove physically there were no alternative routes for the concrete trucks.
Wow.
You include contemporaneous photographs, meaning photos taken on the actual day the event occurred, with timestamps showing the blocked road.
If you're listening to this and thinking, who has the time to meticulously footnote every single minor hiccup and take timestamps on a chaotic, muddy job site? I get it. It sounds exhausting.
It does sound like a lot of work.
But consider the alternative. If you don't have those exhibits, the reviewer has to take your word for it. And they are literally paid to protect their client's budget, not to take your word for it.
Exactly. You cannot travel back in time and take a photograph of a blocked road 3 weeks after the trench has already been filled in and paved over.
No time machines in construction.
Sadly, no.
Yeah.
You can't magically invent a daily site report 3 months after the fact. If we connect this to the bigger picture, that is why this level of substantiation requires a remarkably robust contract administration system.
It's a whole system.
Yeah, the people managing the project day-to-day have to be trained to spot potential claims as they happen.
So it's not just about what you write in the final binder. It's about the systems you have in place every single day on the job site.
The S in CEES is a daily habit. If you are eventually claiming prolongation costs, which is the massive financial drain of having to pay your entire management staff, keep the lights on, and rent equipment for an extra 6 months because the project dragged on. You need the daily records to justify every single dollar of that prolonged presence.
That is intense. Let's pull all of this together. So what does this all mean? The CEES framework: cause, effect, entitlement, and substantiation. It acts as a comprehensive blueprint.
Yeah, whether you are dealing with a minor variation in a building's design, a complex delay caused by a blocked road, or massive prolongation costs, CEES is how you build a user-friendly standalone document.
You're doing the reviewer's job for them.
You really are. You answer the reviewer's questions before they even have to ask them. By laying out a logical, airtight case with empirical evidence, you practically force them to agree with you. You leave them with no other reasonable option but to approve the claim.
It transforms your argument from a messy, annoying pile of papers into a sharp, undeniable presentation. It is the polished suit and the perfect pitch, instead of the scruffy jeans.
Exactly.
And I want to leave you, our listener, with a final thought on this. We have been deep in the weeds of multi-million-dollar construction claims today, complete with heavy machinery, delay analysis software, and complex legal contracts. But think about how the psychology of the CES framework applies to your own life.
The logic of persuasion is entirely scalable.
It really is. The next time you are sitting down to ask your boss for a raise, or you're disputing an unfair charge with your landlord, or even if you are just trying to win a heated debate with a friend over dinner, what would happen if you stopped just complaining about the cause?
Just pointing at the problem isn't enough.
Right. What if you didn't just point at the problem? What if instead you rigorously mapped out the exact effect it had on you, calmly pointed out your entitlement based on the rules or the standard you both agreed to, and then provided the hard substantiation to back it all up?
It would make you pretty hard to argue with.
Approaching your daily conflicts with the rigorous, structured mindset of a high-stakes claims consultant might just change how you negotiate forever. Are you showing up to your next negotiation in scruffy jeans, or are you bringing the CEE framework? That's all for today's deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See the link in the description for free PDF download. Also, watch our other construction scope videos. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and see you next time.